I think the biggest lesson that Devin's taught me, I would say, is serving others before you serve yourself. Maybe I'm only there to just listen to their problems or to fix a light that's been flickering in their house or just do something, right? Be there just for some type of positive interaction to help that person.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Plumbing and HVAC Hustle podcast. Today I've got Jason Melendez from Legend Air. Where are you guys out of, Jason?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. And we got a guy who's doing $2 million in sales his first year, which is nuts. And I would assume if that's your first year, you're going to do pretty well your second year.
Absolutely. The goal is to go hit 5 million next year.
All right, let's go. That's a way above average. You are in a family business. So talk to me about that a little bit today. We're going to be talking about sales training, what the biggest lessons you've learned to get you there quickly, learning quickly as a salesperson, and a little bit about your faith and your family. And then we're going to be talking about anything else people could use from your story. Because I think part of the thing that people need is inspiration to know it's possible. It's possible to do 2 million your first year. It's possible. And that helps other people take away their limiting beliefs, which I think is beautiful. Can you just give me a little bit of a background? Where were you coming from? Are you just getting to working age, or where you look pretty young, you look pretty fresh. Where are we at in your career? What's come before this?
Yeah, so I'm 19 years old. I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset. So all throughout middle school and high school, my first business that I actually ever started was a car detailing business when I was in high school. And I was going around detailing people's cars. I made my own calendar and my own advertisements on the Facebook groups and everything like that. I did it for a little while. I think I did it for about 2 months, and then the back pain that I got from it, man, was just immaculate. I had to get out of that. My body just couldn't handle that. So then I went to go try working at a regular job that a high school would work at. So I applied for Sonic. I got hired for Sonic. I lasted there for maybe 2 weeks. I when I worked there, it kind of taught me that I didn't want to work like a 9 to 5 job. I wanted to work in an industry where my income wasn't capped, and I got paid based off of my effort and my work ethic. Um, so yeah, I actually, I got into HVAC for a little while after I graduated high school. So I graduated high school early, went into the trade school at 17. I got out of trade school before I even turned 18, and I was actually starting in HVAC for about 3 months or so. And then I dislocated my shoulder. I was wakeboarding, I dislocated my shoulder. So I wasn't able to be a technician anymore. And I wasn't our company wasn't at a place where I can, go do rehash or go learn marketing and things like that. So I was like, man, I think I just turned 18 at the time after I turned 17. And I was like, let me try to go out on my own, right? Without my family business. So I went to go sell life insurance, actually. I joined one of those, it's like an MLM type of company, super recruiting based. I had no clue that that's what I signed up for, but I ended up doing it. Didn't make too much money out of doing that. So I actually went to go try to sell solar door to door while I was still having a dislocated shoulder. Solar didn't work out either. I'm in Texas, so anything about Texas, you get guns pulled out on you when you used to go door knocking. So I had one too many guns pulled on me. I was 18, freaked me out.
For real,
My shoulder,
too many? How many did you get pulled on you?
man. So I did solar for less than a month. But the thing was is that they put us in these crazy neighborhoods.
But you really had more than one pulled on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. In 1 month. That's crazy.
Yeah, in 1 month. So I was knocking on doors. Probably my first week is the first time I've ever had a gun pointed at me in my whole life. And because they had no soliciting signs, but the coaches or the managers or whatever, they're like, if you see no soliciting sign, just go knock anyways. That just means that they want to buy, but they're trying to put up a safeguard or something like that. Yeah, they're scared to buy, right? Because they know if they open the door, they're gonna buy from you, right? And so I did. Yeah, so I remember my favorite pitch on that was if I saw a no soliciting or no one welcome, right? And then I saw a welcome mat. They're like, you don't see the sign? And I'd look at their mat and I'd point to it and I'd be like, yeah, but I see the welcome mat right here, so I'm a little confused what's going on. And usually I get a little laugh out of them. But Yeah, I got too many guns pulled out on me. So then my shoulder finally healed up, and me and my parents were talking, and I wanted to get back into the business. So then I got back into the business. When I got back, I met this guy named Devin Murphy. He's from Reignite Sales. He literally mentored me through the whole entire process. Big shout out to him, because I would not be anywhere where I'm at now, and what the future is going to hold without him. Because he's
Did you get
literally,
the obviously your parents, but the people that the owner of the company paid for that, or you paid for that?
yeah. So he came on an onsite. He came on an onsite, and that's how we connected from there.
Does he do
Um,
like personal sales? Like if a salesperson is watching this, do you know if he works with like individual salespeople too as a coach or no?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. He's kind of like a one size fits all type of thing.
Yeah,
Because he's worked with me, and even when he kind of not cut relations with our company but left for the onsite and we were still doing our own, he was still keeping up with me and doing like call by call and things like that.
cool, nice. That's incredible. And so Devin has been a big piece to why you hit 2 million. You think?
Oh, 1,000%, man. I probably wouldn't even be in the trade anymore if it wasn't for him.
So what were like the key learnings from him that kind of, and obviously your attitude was important. You said you were kind of a sponge and you just did whatever he told you to do, but what are the biggest lessons that you feel like made an impact for you to hit that number?
So Rilla allows you to listen to it's an AI in your pocket, listens to the appointment. It's pretty crazy what it can do. It gives a script, gives everything they said, it breaks down some statistics for you.
Analyze talk ratio, interactivity, like how you and I are interacting back and forth, longest modeling, like all those
Honestly,
things.
this is the shit that I most believe in AI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Enhancing the
You're
human
about to put
experience.
math and data around something that used to be my magic skill.
I think the biggest lesson that Devin's taught me, I would say, is serving others before you serve yourself. So he would always tell me whenever I first got in to like the industry to think about like, how can I help this person? Maybe they're not going to buy a whole new HVAC system from me today. Maybe they're not going to buy all these repairs and air quality and everything like that. And maybe I'm only there to give a smile to them. Maybe I'm only there to just listen to their problems, or to fix a light that's been flickering in their house, or just do something, right? Be there just for some type of positive interaction to help that person. And he really taught me that when I put others first, the success comes. So every time, Tim, that I've went into a call thinking about, I need to sell this, I want to make money, I want to get, a new system so I can get some numbers on the board, I fell flat on my face every time. Because what I've done is I was trying to serve myself instead of serving the customer.
Hmm.
So what he's really taught me to do is when I go into these houses, how can I serve the customer and look for every single way I can do that, and just be that bridge, to get them from where they are now to where they need to be, or where we could benefit them at, or take away those, pain points.
Hmm. It's an interesting thing because a lot of the industry gets this rap that it's kind of like, what do you say? I saw a comment on one of my things. I did an office tour recently, and the person said they're predatory, and that some HVAC and plumbing companies are predatory. And I think what's tough is some salespeople start to believe that that's the tone of the industry, or maybe it is. Maybe the tone of some of the employers, right? It's not everyone, but there's certainly some of that. So, but then it gives a bad rap to the rest of the people doing that job. And how do you make sure you don't kind of fall into that when you hear negative things about your own industry?
It's a great question. The biggest way that I was able to stay grounded is by having a strong following of what the truth is. And when I say truth, it's me, I'm very spiritual. And when I say spiritual, I believe in Jesus Christ, fully surrendered, believe in the Bible, and I believe it all. So I know that it doesn't really matter what everyone else is doing. And it's very influencing, like you're saying, seeing that in the industry, right? Having sales managers, having quotas and things that you have to hit, and knowing that, as me and most other selling technicians in the industry, a lot of us only get paid commission. So if we don't sell anything, we don't eat that night. And the biggest thing for me is just staying rooted and grounded, knowing that if I serve other people, it's all going to come back to me. if I put the positive energy out there, the positive energies will be reciprocated, and most of the time, or even all of the time, it's in so much more of an abundance. So that's kind of the way. Another big thing for me is because I've been posting on like social media for a little while as well, and I'll get crazy comments all of the time. People telling me that I scam grandmas for a living, or I wear you wear like white technician shirts when we go out, so it's like I'll never trust a technician wearing a white shirt, or I slick back my hair, so they'll say like, oh, your hair's a little too slick back for me, or something like that. Honestly, man, I just stopped reading the comments. I just stopped listening. Anytime the industry or the conversations went towards that, I kind of just check out, because I know that someone as a high caliber as someone with as high of a belief as myself into what I'm doing, I don't align with that. So I'm not even going to entertain that thought process or belief. And also a big thing for me is I have a family company. We're not owned by private equity, right? The only owners of my company is my mother and my father. We started this business out of our garage. Our only marketing was on the Facebook group that my mom made. She made a mom's group for the whole town. It's called the Ladies of Little Elm. She made a mom's group for that whole town. And when my dad first started learning HVAC, she was marketing his services as like the HVAC neighborhood guy, right? The truck in a truck, if you will. And so because we started our company from small going big, we were never in it to, the vision when we first started was never to be a millionaire, right? The vision was we're just going to make some extra money. Then we started getting so much work. Then it was like, okay, well, we need to start hiring some people. Okay, now we need to, get on Google and get more and more people. So the reason I'm saying that is because our company was built off the foundation of just helping people. And we were never built off the foundation of, let's go hit these crazy sales numbers and not serve the customer just so we can get rich. So I think the biggest way, and the second biggest way outside of Jesus Christ, is the surrounding people that I've had were always serve the customer first and putting our reputation just very, very high on the line, so we weren't trying to get over on anybody.
I think there's an element of, if you're a person with a pure heart, but if you work for a company that's got different kind of priorities, then I think it's like the encouragement is to work for a company with priorities similar to yours, right? Like if you don't feel in alignment, if you work at a company where you don't feel like their priority is service, then just work for one. There's a lot of them. I believe a lot of HVAC companies, comment below if you disagree, but I believe a lot of HVAC and plumbing companies have a service mindset. There is also this thing where sometimes sales techs, white shirts, whatever we want to call them,
Slickbacks.
sometimes slickbacks don't have their hair slicked back enough, and or people don't realize what it costs to run a company. So sometimes salespeople think people are being greedy, and it's literally just you have to run a profitable company, or you will go away, and these homeowners will not have a company to actually service the warranties. That won't actually be able to stand behind their service. So I think that there's a little bit of confusion there. And I feel like you have an advantage to know what the spirit of the company is because it's your parents and you saw it come up. Whereas some people, I think a lot of salespeople don't have the belief that the company is trying to do the right thing.
That's very true. We're seeing a lot of companies right now in the Dallas area especially struggle, and they're cutting people, laying people off, firing people, downsizing. And so our application list is just huge, because right now, as a company, we're thriving. We're doing the best that we've ever been. We're almost double our numbers we were last year, right? And we're trying to keep that trend moving forward. But exactly what you were saying about salespeople having a pure heart and the company not aligning with that is one of the biggest things that the technicians that we are bringing in are coming and saying. So we'll be in our meetings, and they'll kind of be talking about the previous experience with other HVAC companies, and they'll say like, I've never been with a company before that actually cares about the customer, that actually cares about the employees, that actually is here to do the right thing. And I think that right now, that's the reason why we're becoming so successful in our company, and especially me as a technician, is because that's been our belief always, right? But it's really hard, like you're saying, when you're a technician, or sales tech or white shirt or slick bag, whatever that may be, and you have a pure heart and your company doesn't have a pure heart to operate, because how could you? How could you when it's always about a sales number, or it's always about making the next sale, or it's always about hitting some type of quota, right? It's tough. And any technician that's in that position right now, it's really a tough spot to be in. And yeah, it's hard.
You could see it going the other way too, where I'm sure that there's sometimes a decent company, and then salespeople doing, it's like sometimes when the incentives get too high to do negative stuff, you know what I mean? And I mean negative could be saying it needs a replacement when it really doesn't need a replacement, right?
Yeah.
Um, and people joke about that because you're low, slow, whatever. And then people are like, maybe, it comes up. We know in the industry sometimes. So it's like, knowing that you know some stuff about the actual way the companies run, how do you try to focus? How does your family try to focus on not getting people that don't have the right motives?
Oh, great question. Whenever we're doing our interview process, we do multiple interviews. Not only are we doing multiple interviews, but I love how tight knit the HVAC community is, especially out here in Texas. So most of the technicians we're hiring tend to be local. There's a lot of people who know a lot of people. So if you ask around, you could really figure out a lot about whoever you're hiring just by communicating within your market and the people that you know, using the connections and just utilizing them to figure out, how does this person perform? What are their numbers like? Right? Did they get a whole bunch of bad reviews at their old company? Right? Are they, and that type of thing to figure out what their hearts and like their pure motive is. So I think a really intensive interview process, and then going in and asking a lot of people in the market and the industry that already know them, what their viewpoint of them and what their experiences with them is, kind of how we've been able to avoid that. Also, in our calls, we have a sales pro, right? So all of our calls are being recorded. So if we do hire a new technician, our sales manager is actively listening to those calls, right? We're actively doing ride-alongs. So before, we have a technician where, I don't want to say trust, but a technician that's going to be grounded and kind of put to spread his wings a little bit. We have a good idea of what their foundation and what they're rooted like, before we allow them to get to that point. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, let's get back into some of the tactical sales stuff that you learned from Devin. So, service mindset sounds like a pretty crucial piece. What about tactics? What about like the order in which you present stuff, or any other like key things that you learned in the sales process?
Yeah.
Because 2 million is just so unusual. There's got to be some other stuff, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. This is my favorite thing to talk about, man. So every sale is the same, right? That's something that I've learned. Every sale typically has like five steps, right? So as a salesperson or representative or technician, all of our jobs is to, number one, right? We need to identify a problem. I always hear people who like to brag about their sales ability say, "Oh, I'll sell water to a whale," right? But a whale doesn't need water because they already have it. And that's the mindset that I have. I only sell something when there's a problem. And if there's no problem, then I'm not going to sell anything. That's how you stay rooted into making sure that you have a pure heart and you're serving your customer. So first thing always, identify the problem. After I identify there's a problem in the system or whatever it is, you have to make the customer aware, right? So the second step is making the customer aware that there is a problem to begin with. A lot of times I'll see technicians, they'll identify all these issues within the unit, but they're not trained or skilled or even confident enough to make the customer aware of all of the issues that they're finding, right? Because they're scared of what their reaction is going to be, right? After you make the customer aware, the third thing you want to do, it sounds kind of bad, right? But it's stimulating the pain. What stimulating the pain is, all that you're doing is you're making the customer aware of the benefits that they're going to have after this is taken care of and how their life is going to be positively affected. Or if said thing is not taken care of, how their life is going to be negatively infected and affected. Sorry. For example, let's say like a heat exchanger, which is a carbon monoxide containment center in HVAC. This just contains all the carbon monoxide in the units that everyone's about to be using right now because we're going into the heating season. right? And for us, it's standard that all of our technicians are going and putting a camera into that heat exchanger to inspect for cracks. Let's say I find a crack. Now I have to make the customer aware that there's a crack even there. But they're not going to know just by seeing a crack what that means. You have to stimulate the pain and help them understand that if that crack stays there and you turn your heat on, all of that carbon monoxide is not going to be going out of the house anymore. It's going to be going into the house. And that's the stuff that they're going to be breathing in and how it could negatively affect them if it's not taken care of. Then the fourth step is to make options. So I don't ever believe in just giving the customer one option. I always give multiple options, my premium all the way down to my Band-Aid, right? So I know you're familiar with Uncle Joe, right? And
Mm-hmm.
kind of him preaching the options and the options-based selling.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is just asking for the sale. Everyone asks for the sale differently. Me, when I ask for the sale, I actually don't. It's funny that I say that. I actually don't ask for the sale. What I'll do is I present on a pen and pad. I don't use like a tablet or anything like that. I'll actually physically write out my options. I'll tell them my top option, so everything that it includes, the price and the financing, and then I'll just give it to them. Hand them the little note legal pad that I write all my options on, and just let them go from there. Because typically, what happens is after you present your options to the customer, and if you're trying to ask for the sale in an incorrect way, they're going to feel rushed, they're going to feel pressured, and the sales resistance is going to go all the way up, right? One thing that I'm noticing about customers nowadays is that they're becoming so aware that the trades is starting to shift into sales, right? Just like how whenever you take your car into an oil change, everyone's aware that the mechanic's going to bring up so many other issues about your car is trying to get you to pay for those repairs, right? So it's starting to happen in the trades as well. So that's why me personally, I've stopped asking for the sale and I'll just give it to them. And what's happening is I stay silent and I let them break the silence. By me letting them break the silence, I'm giving them time to think. I'm giving them time to process everything. Because most of the time, right, what most of the people watching this or the technicians hearing this are going to be running right now is maintenance calls. So these homeowners are expecting us to just come in, maybe wash out the coils, do a basic check, change your filters, and leave, right? But whenever I'm finding this laundry list of issues within the unit that could cause it to fail or harm you, and they're seeing the thousands of dollars ticket associated with it, it's pretty stressful, right? So by me just being silent, by asking for the sale and just handing them it after I present my top option, it just gives them their time to think and actually make an educated decision.
Hmm. I think one thing that Uncle Joe always talks about is like, one, not diffusing tension. Because I mean, like, so increasing the pain, or like, what do you call it? It's essentially telling them the truth about the pain that is going to happen if they don't fix something, right? And then like leaving something open where they have to break the silence is like, a lot of people just don't want there to be any tension. So like I'm like a Minnesota nice. I just don't want to just like, but Texas is a little bit more forward. And that's actually something that I learned down in Texas that allowed me to be more effective, was being a little bit more bold, more clarity, more saying things clearly, and then not being okay with more tension in my communication. So I was like, allowing there to be tension. And sometimes Uncle Joe, if you take it all the way, he
All the
kind
way.
of he'll create a little tension. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's like, it sounds like you might not be ready to make this decision today, or like he'll be like, maybe this isn't what you need, or like he'll like almost like ask them. He'll be like,
Yeah.
he'll take it away.
I love that. Yeah.
He'll
I
take
call
it
that
away.
takeaway. I do
Yeah.
that. I do that so often.
Yeah,
So
what is
often.
that? Why does that work? Why does like a takeaway work? It's like they almost have to like buy back in or something.
It's really psychological, is what I've learned
Yeah.
on why that takeaway works. Because they're not expecting it, right? It's it's the best way that I can say this. It's like what they're expecting is for a salesperson to be there, almost like a door-to-door salesman or like a used car salesman who's just constantly trying to get them to buy, right? And these large numbers are presented, and it's usually very scary. When we take something away from the customer, what it's doing is it's a whole pattern interrupt because they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know if this is right for you. Or what do you mean? You know, because you're taking everything away. And what you're truly showing them when you're taking it away is that my emotions are not attached to the outcome of the call. So I don't care if you buy or if you don't buy. I'm me, and I'm a great person no matter what, right? My bills are paid, my family is fed, we're good. So what it's doing is it's allowing the customer to trust you in a way that they've probably never seen someone care about them before. And
Mm.
so that's why that pullback works so well, because it's showing you that I don't care if you buy, I'm just here to help you.
It reminds me a lot of like back in the day when I was dating, I like studied pickup artists. Like I think it relates to when you're like talking to women a little bit. Like if you're talking to women and you're like, I care so much about what you think of me, then usually they kind of like they don't like that. But if you're like, I just don't
Yeah,
even care. I mean, like I don't care because I'm good and I'm
yeah,
self-sustained. I don't need you. You're cute though.
yeah,
Well, like it's kind of the
yeah,
same vibe of like if you can be a little disinterested. It's just mixing in a little disinterest or something like that. It sounds like.
yeah, yeah.
I always say I'm
That's,
selective. Like with Hook agency clients, I always say we're selective, and I mean it. Like we literally turn down like 5 out of 10 people we just turn them down because it's not the right fit for us based on what we believe like proper expectations for a marketing company are. And I think that is super attractive. I think like whenever I say we're selective, people are like, well, I fit your criteria. And sometimes I still have to be like, you don't. So like I literally turn them down. Like, is there times to turn down customers? It sounds like you're saying you want to walk away, and sometimes you really do walk away. Like you have to be willing to walk away from a deal to be more effective in the sales process.
oh yeah, yeah, all the time. My favorite thing is I think Uncle Joe is the one who kind of made it popular, but or maybe it was someone else. But I always like to say we could part ways as friends, right?
Yes,
So
he says that.
whenever
Yeah, he says that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So whenever something's getting, getting a lot of tensions getting built up, or sometimes, the customer opens the door and everything possible is going wrong, is going wrong, right? And they start to give me, the attitude that they have through the day and kind of putting it on me, or the things just aren't really going in the direction that we want them to go. Or even when it's, going into the big, sales numbers and the customer's getting multiple, different options and things like that, telling them, it's like, hey, it's this is something you don't want to take care of, it's all good. We could just part ways as friends and I'll be here if you need me. Or even being like, a lot of times, customers will try to fit you into their schedule, which you guys are fitting each other into each other's schedule. It's a mutual agreement, right? The customer is at power because it's their home and it's their buying decision, but you are at power because you're the professional that's in the house. It's an equally respected thing. So just like how they're showing you the authority of them and being in their domain, you have to bring your authority of you're the professional and you work in this domain. This is where you specialize at. So a lot of times when customers view you as less than that, or aren't giving you the time of day, I'll pull that out so many times. Hey, it sounds like, like you're kind of busy right now, or it sounds like, is everything okay? I could always just, head out. We could part ways as friends and we could just get this rescheduled, or we can come back at a later date. And every single time that I pull back, and depending on the situation is how I say it, it always just drops that guard. And it like brings them back to reality. It's bringing them back to earth for them to actually start communicating with me like I'm another human being and showing my respect. Because just like what you were saying with Hook Agency, you guys turning down, you said 5 out of every 10 like applicants.
Hmm.
So what I've learned is being hard to work with makes you very valuable. Because if I show you that I have so many different options, just like with women, how we were saying, it makes the opposing part, I mean, the other party on the other end, want to show and show why they're the one that's I should be working with. It's almost putting them into like a perspective of I have to prove myself to you. So now whenever you do like that pullback that we're talking about in the sales process, now the customer is like they almost feel obligated to be engaged. They almost feel obligated to listen to you. They almost feel obligated to ask you questions, and you know what I mean, like just really just listen to you and be there throughout your whole entire process.
It's a little bit why like being selective and all this thing, the pullback method, we'll call it. I'm sure somebody's already
The
coined
pullback.
something. Yeah, the pullback. It's when you've been selling a lot, it just kind of creates that momentum. Like when you're like,
Yeah.
you've been on a roll basically. I don't know if this week or this month, but you're on a roll. This is a great year. You're doing a great job. Once you kind of get into that mode, you do better. But then some people will get stuck in kind of a lull, and it's like, I need
Oh
this
yeah.
sale, and people can feel it. It feels like people can feel
Yeah.
it. Like, and I've been there. I'm sure you've been there. People can feel like,
Yep.
man, he needs this. I don't want to buy from somebody who needs this. You know what I mean? So there's like, you got to figure out a way to get yourself into a role to be on a roll, or you got to like think about all the times that you've been on a roll and the vibe that you're putting off almost. It's like that momentum thing. It's the opposite of commission breath.
100%. One thing I always tell all of the technicians that work for us is that intentions leave a scent. So like how you said commission breath, customers know. I mean, we as consumers in other industries, we deal with salespeople all the time. And I know when I'm talking to a good salesperson because they're just okay and they're just gonna let it happen naturally. And I know when I'm talking to a bad salesperson who's probably not making any money because they're really adamant about me trying to buy something. But shifting the conversation to like momentum, like you were saying, one thing I've learned is that momentum is probably one of the hardest things to build. So whenever you are blessed with having momentum, you have to ride that wave as far as it will humanly possibly take you. Because one of the, like I said, the hardest thing to probably build in business or in sales is that momentum. Because once you're on that momentum, you're good. Everything's clicking. All the words are coming off right. Your customers are buying from you. Your customers leaving you 5-star reviews. But once you lose that momentum, because it happens to all of us, it's a big thing that I struggle with learning how to kind of overcome. I learned how to overcome it recently. You went to Bold, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I went to Bold too. Shout out Mary Belden McGrath. She's wonderful. If you haven't been to Bold and you feel like you're in any type of leadership position or you're a leader or you have untapped, you need to go. It's life changing. And there was an exercise that we did. I don't want to give up too much about kind of the process and the and how everything was at Bold, but there was an exercise we did on one of the last days, and it was really kind of just about like pulling into yourself and just letting it out, right? Like knowing like this is who I am and I'm going to stand on that. I don't care what the world has to say. I'm going to be me and I'm me. I'm so valuable to myself because I only have one life and this is all that I have. So I'll be in my truck, literally right here on my way to my call, right? For the past week, I've sold, let's say like $5,000 at the very most, that's a very low week for me. I'm usually selling between 50 and 100 and more, 50K to 100K or above that and more of like the hotter months, right? But nothing seems to be going my way. And I'll get there and I'll just yell. Like I'll literally just like yell. I'll start like hooting. I'll start hollering. I'll just start like screaming and like, I don't know what it does, but it makes my heart start beating super fast. And I start feeling like almost like primal, right? Like I'm just some type of like elite specimen. I'm like hyping myself up, almost like pulling out an alter ego of myself. And I'm just like, everything's going wrong. I have nothing to look at to build me up. It's just me. I'm going to pull it out of myself. And it's like taking the jacket off and taking the skin or the cloak off. And I'm just going to be me and I'm just going to do that. Right. And by doing that and just letting it all out, I'm like, this is me. I'm creating momentum now. It's changing right now. And just putting it out there and standing on that and believing it. It's like whenever your car battery dies and you need someone to get jumper cables is like what it does. And it's like you're borrowing momentum from your future self. Or you're borrowing momentum from the past and the successes you already have had. And then now you're able to use it into whatever you're doing. And then you're creating that momentum again, right? Yeah,
That's
but
good. Jason's on fire. I like this. Jason, give
man,
me a few more tips before we go. Just the guy who's trying to hit 2 million his first year, the guy who's trying to get to 2 million, the person who feels like they've tried a lot of stuff, maybe is a little discouraged. What would you say to that person? How can we help them get there?
first thing I want to say is that it's possible. Once you have the belief of knowing that it's possible, then you can do the actions and have the discipline behind it to actually make it happen. But the first person that has to believe that it can happen is you. I started off this year saying that I'm going to sell more than 1 million. Now, I didn't know I was going to get to 2 million, right? But I had the belief going into it that it's going to happen. Meanwhile, I started it when I was 17 years old. I still look like I'm 12 years old, right? The thought process that I had before I was ever going to even knock on someone's door, they're going to look at me and think I'm a kid, and they're not going to buy from me. They're not going to trust me. They're going to listen to my spiel, tell me, thank you for your time, and then they're going to call someone else out, and they're going to request someone who's more seasoned than me. But the first thing is belief. Once you believe that it could actually happen, then you can start doing the work behind it to actually make that dream a reality. The second thing I would say is, because now you believe that it can happen, right? But what most technicians do, I'm sorry, is they confuse their customers. And Tim, a confused mind says what?
No.
Every single time. So what I had to learn how to do very early on is, how can I explain your whole HVAC system? Or if you're a plumber listening to this, your plumbing system, or your electrician listening to this, your electrical system, or even a roofer, right? The whole roofing system and how it works. How could I explain that to a 5-year-old? How can I make this so simple that anybody could understand it? So what I did is, and the best way to do this, and I'm so grateful for ChatGPT, is every single issue that I'd come across in a maintenance or a service call, I put it in the ChatGPT and I said, make it into an analogy that I could explain to a 5-year-old for them to understand. So every single issue that I now see, I have a direct analogy to explain it to my customer. Super, super easy, right? Are you familiar with like return air coming back into a system, Tim?
Um, yeah, kind of a little bit.
So it's just right. So it's just air coming back to. But when I say that, it's confusing. The customer's not going to know what that means. But when I go and I say, "Hey, this is your HVAC system. It breathes just like how me and you do." Right? You see these ducts right here. This is like when you're breathing in through your nose and that air's going into your body. That's what these ducts are doing. It's just bringing air back to the body, right? Looking at the blower wheel just circulates air through the home. I explain that as a heart, like a heart pumping blood through your body. Your furnace, I don't complicate it. I call your furnace, this is what makes the air hot. Your coil, this is what makes the air cold. It's that simple. So what I found is, not only using analogies, but you go big picture and you go down to smaller picture, right? So it's kind of like if a doctor was to explain to you that you had something going on in one of your organs that's super small inside of your body, but they just started talking about that organ, which you've never heard of before, that disease, which you've also never heard of before, and then what's going to happen next in all of their super scientific or doctoral terms, you're not going to know what's going on. But if they start off by saying, hey, look, okay, right now we're looking at your body. Then in your body, this is your stomach. What your stomach's designed to do is to digest your food. And when we're looking inside your stomach, this is specific, whatever it is, and this is supposed to break down that food. What's happening is right now it's not breaking down that food properly, so that's why you're feeling so constipated, this, that, and the other. And if this isn't taken care of, this is what your future is going to look like, and this is the negative effects of what's going to happen to you. But if we do take care of it, this is how we can reverse everything. You can feel better, and your body can be healthy again. So when you find a way to get big picture and you keep going down to a more like a molecular view of everything, that's how they could actually understand what you're saying. One of the biggest compliments I get, if you go to legendary Google reviews, and one of the best thing the customers say is, he explained the system to me like I was a 5-year-old, or everything he said about my system made sense, or this is the first technician that's ever made anything make sense. So now, because I really don't think I'm a salesperson, because when I truly just explain to you how your system works and what's happening, and I explain to you the effects of if it's not taken care of, they just want to buy. I usually don't get objections too often, especially like mostly on like service and things that when there's actual issues going on, because I explain it in a way that's just so simple that the customer already knows what we have to do to get the system and to get their home to an optimal level where it's safe and it's healthy and it's efficient for them to breathe in. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm going to wrap up with this question because you're like I think everyone that's watching this can kind of agree. I'm sure they're impressed by you, Jason. You're extremely articulate. You've got great energy. You're very charismatic. And I don't think this really has to do with anything, but they might be also saying this guy's kind of handsome. So if they got all that going in their head and they're like, this guy is special, but maybe I don't feel like I'm as charismatic, or I don't feel like I have these opportunities like he's had or something like that. somebody who doesn't feel as charismatic as you, do you think that they can sell this much? How do you help people on your team? This is my last question, Jason.
Yeah.
How do you help people that, like, when they're in that position where they kind of have excuses about their, because you're just like, you are like unusually smooth. You know that, right?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But I'm just saying, like, for other people that don't feel that smoothness, like, can they sell this amount? And like, or does it
One of my
take being as smooth as you?
Great question. So I'll put it like this. I had a technician come in. He's a young guy. He's about 21 years old. His name is Nate. And he has no prior uh, experience in the HVAC industry. Okay. He started off as a duct cleaner slash repair guy. So he was just doing duct cleanings and then doing, big repairs that our technicians would sell that the technician doesn't have, all day to do because they have other jobs in their schedule. He did that for a couple of months and we noticed that, he's always on time. He was always trying to take care of the customer the best. So we transitioned him into a technician mindset. Okay. And the reason I'm saying this is because this is a guy who I'm not trying to talk bad about him right now, right? And say he's not charismatic or not smooth, but he has no prior knowledge in HVAC at all, right? He's just a younger kid trying to make money. That's why he signed up to be a duct cleaner. Using the same processes that I explained on this video, right? Which is the 5-step sales process, right? Identify problem, make customer aware, stimulate pain, give options, ask for the sale. And then finding a way to get big picture and then go smaller and smaller and smaller. He sat with me in my truck for about 2.5 weeks, is all the training, that sales training that I gave him. And he's only been a technician right now for about 5 months. And he's at $400,000 in sales. He's not getting fed all the top level jobs. He's not getting fed the laydowns. He's going on those maintenances where the system's 1-2 years old. He's going to the service calls where, it's just a thermostat or it's just a fuse. But by using the processes that I explained, it's not a matter of who you are. It's a matter of the process are work. They just work. Once you trust the process works. Everyone puts their own little kind of spice on it. Everyone puts their own flavor on it. But by doing like what we said, putting the customer first, following the process to actually make them understand, right? Giving them options and asking for the sale, you will succeed. It's just that simple. And the reason I can say that so confidently is because I have a guy who just started out who's doing $400,000 in his first like 5-6 months in HVAC, which is also unheard of.
Well, Jason, some people are going to want to say what's up to you. Where can they check you out so they could go watch your content and maybe say hi?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. My Facebook is Jason Melendez Jr. My Instagram and my TikTok is _Jason Melendez. Melendez is spelled Melendez. And that's how they could reach out to me. I want to give a big shout out to my parents, though, for everything that they've done. I don't think I got a chance to say that. I wanted to actually start it off with that. They've just always put me in the best position possible, always poured into me, always spoken life into me, and just I've always just been my rock and are the reason why I'm at where I'm at today. And without them, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. So I'm super appreciative of them, and I just want to give them the honor and the praise and the respect that they deserve.
And it's crazy, some people will talk about the privilege of having great parents. And I think people don't realize sometimes it's not just, yes, certainly they probably raised you right and gave you things and so on and so forth. But like, even more than anything, like my dad didn't give me a lot after, like he helped me a little bit through college. I did college and they helped. But then not a lot besides that. But the biggest benefit has been like the work ethic and the example that he's set and the ethical kind of like he has like a almost like really stringent ethical compass, and he's like very intense with that. You know what I mean? He's also a Christian, but he's got like this kind of like this is the way it should be kind of vibe. And then he works really ridiculously hard. What I'm getting at is like that stuff like seeing that as an example, and that's the biggest benefit a lot of people with successful parents get.
Yeah.
Like you don't realize there's a lot more than money that people get, or like even opportunities. you get an example of people that worked really hard and like care about people. And that is usually how it's like, I feel like that's one of the biggest ways people that have successful parents also become successful, is like
Yeah.
all the example, like so clear. And then all the lessons that they gave us.
No, yeah, 100%. I think, and if you're a person, who's listening to this and your parents didn't play an active role or as much of an active role, in your life that you want them to, there's still hope, right? 'Cause the last thing I want people to think is that, because I didn't have my parents in my life, I'm set up for, failure.
Yeah.
I've
Sorry.
learned that some of the most successful people, not only in our industry, but in life, in the United States, in the world, have had the most terrible upbringing possible. And so for the people who are listening to this who didn't have that blessing, right? I want you to know that it's still possible,
Yeah.
right? I would be lying if I said you weren't at a disadvantage, because you are.
Yeah.
You are, right? You don't have like that mentor as you were growing up, as a lot of, as some people with a really solid foundation did. But the growth that you can have and the way that you can change your life is just remarkable on what you can do and what you can, and the it's so possible, and your life can become so, you know uh so much better, because I typically see in business the people who had bad upbringings go farther than the people who had good upbringings, right? They say, what is it, strong men create like sweet times, and the sweet times create strong men, or something like that. You know what I'm referring
Sweet
to?
times create weak men, and then weak
Yeah,
men create, you know, yeah, bad
something
times.
like,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
basically like, yeah. Like part of the reason I think like what you're talking about too is like if you seek great people out, right? Because it's really just to me, I just think about the like you become the average of the 5 people you're around. So if you find yourself into circumstances that will make you better, right? And people that will make you better, try to get around those people that will teach you things like um Devin Murphy, like you mentioned, like getting around people is the secret sauce. Like you have this benefit if you're in this a family that worked hard and has
Yeah,
morals, but then like if you can just find your way around those types of people, it's crazy. You can kind of make your own families too.
yeah,
You choose. We all choose who we're going to be around
100%.
at a certain point.
Yeah, mentorship is the most valuable thing in this world when it comes to trying to get to any type of success. Because if once you find that mentor who's already done it or walked that similar path, they're going to let you know the mistakes that you're about to make before you even make them. And the roadmap of your success is going to be like times 10, because you're having a person literally coach you through all of the struggles, coach you through all of the issues that they dealt with, and you're not having to go and deal with it on your own, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey man, thank you for being on the show. I got to get to my next appointment. I really appreciate you being here. Jason Melendez, everyone, Jason Melendez Jr. Podcast is put on by hookagency.com, Hook Agency all over social media. Appreciate your time today, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All
I
right, bye.
appreciate being on here.
Yep.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
See ya.
Many homes suffer from inefficient HVAC systems due to leaky ducts, leading to uneven room temps, lost airflow, and higher energy costs. AeroSeal's innovative sealant technology targets and repairs leaks, improving airflow and efficiency. Increase your customer satisfaction, increase sales, and offer a unique market advantage. Become a leader in HVAC efficiency. AeroSeal.com.
I can't commend Hook Agency enough on just the experience. We're talking about plumbing experience, but the experience we've had overall working with your team members on this project, they really draw out ideas that otherwise I didn't even think of, which is incredible. So thank you guys for being a valued partner of the Family Plumber. I really appreciate that.